Muslims going about their ordinary lives in Britain are being harassed and filmed by basically a bunch of ignorant bigots.
And perverts.
Racists, whilst they're like literally doing nothing.
Student under 16, a lot of them, so I'd really appreciate if we went recording.
You're in the UK, right? You're in the UK.
Yeah, I understand.
You don't have to wear any of this crap, love.
That's fine.
You're free.
So women in parks are being filmed. Families with children are being filmed as they go into.
This is a pretty depressing sight. So this is England, right? And there are just groups of women in hijabs, full burqas, going in and out of the sea.
We need to know how to defend ourselves, not attack anybody, but defend ourselves, because this is getting a serious situation, and no one's listening. No one's listening. They don't care. The mainstream media don't care what we have to say. Politicians don't care what we have to say. They all think we're exaggerating, okay? But we're not. We know what's going on here. So the only thing that we can do is we should not rely on the authorities to protect us. We need to be ready to protect ourselves in lawful ways, in non-violent ways, if possible.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Salaam alaikum, and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored with me, Robert Carter, and Roshan Saleh. Now, I know many of you were probably suspecting something's happened here because I haven't seen Muslims Uncensored for weeks. Something must have happened to Roshan. He's disappeared. Where is he? We don't see him on the streets of the UK anymore, in Birmingham. What's going on here? What's Robert up to? Where's the show? Well, I'm happy to say that we are still alive, we are still kicking, and we've been very busy here at Five Pillars. So basically, yeah, we've just basically been away because we're doing other things, but it's all good.
Yeah.
We have things in the pipeline that's happening, and frankly, we were working hard. There's been a lot of good stories we've covered.
Yeah, we did.
And,
I
we've been
think
up to things.
Before we went, we did warn people that there'd be a bit of a break in the month of August.
Yes, absolutely.
Traveling, personal traveling, kind of business traveling. Also, but we have been busy still, and keeping the news going in particular, and so we haven't been neglecting the news. I should also say, brothers and sisters, we do have an air conditioner on today. It's very hot. So if you hear a slight buzzing in the background, hopefully it's not too irritating, but we're going to keep it on today because we're going to be sat here for an hour boiling. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah, man, it's not comfortable sweating in the sea while you're trying to do a show. But there's been a lot going on. I've been covering the news. Roshan's been doing some other bigger planned stuff. So inshallah, there's going to be a studio change.
Yes.
We've set up a new YouTube channel called Five Pillars Plus, which some content has already started to go on there. A lot of our news reports and kind of more newsy, away from the podcast stuff is going to be on there. I'll leave a link in the description. So please do subscribe to that channel to help the algorithms and to help get our content out there. We've been busy. We've been
and we have big plans for expansion in the future, inshallah. So so we're not neglecting the Muslim news and analysis.
Yeah, I think people,
even if the podcasts don't appear.
People who just watch this show might think we take lengthy breaks where we just don't bother to do anything.
We did a survey.
We're just struggling. With stuff.
We need to hire some more staff. I think. I think we did a survey.
I need a new co-presenter for the show. 100%.
We did. I'm not even going to dignify that with a reply, but we did a survey recently, and we'll probably talk about that maybe in a few weeks' time. But actually, the podcasts, Muslims Uncensored and Brother Others, are amongst our most popular content in terms of the feedback that we're getting from the viewers. So people actually, some people actually don't consume other Five Pillars content. They only get their news from these podcasts. So we do realize that we have a duty to you to keep this going. The month of August is just a little bit kind of we're all in different places at the same time. So we're probably not going to start again properly till September, week after week after week after week. But we'll get as many podcasts we can in August as we possibly can, inshallah.
Yeah, so do stay connected to our YouTube channel and connect to Five Pillars Plus, which will have a link in the description section to you to check that out, to keep in touch with us. Well, let's kick off with the first topic of the day. Some really disturbing developments are happening. There's no doubt about that. It's going to take us here into the UK, first of all. A mosque in Scotland was the target of what would have been a terrible terrorist attack by a neo-Nazi teen who had been radicalized online since the age of 13. The 17-year-old, who hasn't been named because obviously his identity needs to be protected for legal reasons, was attempting to kill Muslims, burn them alive in a mosque in Scotland. He had infiltrated the mosque pretending to be a convert to Islam. and had basically laid out a plan where he intended to trap potentially hundreds of Muslims who were performing Jummah prayers in the facility, and then basically burn the building down, killing everyone inside. Luckily, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, he was stopped on the day that he was intending to conduct this, what would have been a horrific terrorist attack. And he's been found to have been reading literature by Adolf Hitler, Mussolini. This is a proper disturbed teen who wanted to kill people because of the atmosphere of hate against Muslims specifically, and he believed all the stuff like the white race is in a war, a race war, and that he has
great
to act,
replacement, all that
type of stuff. So a horrific, terrifying story, which I think is a timely reminder of the danger that the Muslims particularly live in the West, including here in the UK. I hear quite often, Roshan, a lot of Muslims will go, it's not that bad here in the UK. It's bad in France, it's bad in Poland or some other European country where perhaps they're a bit more harsh in their rhetoric against Muslims or whatever. But no, Britain's okay. We're still okay here. Everyone's nice. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. We can get on with everyone. When the reality is there's a lot of radicalization going on, and it seems like an attack is just moments away, a big attack which might actually succeed. Another Finsbury Park mosque attack or something.
I tweeted this morning that I think it's a matter of time before Muslims are murdered in this country on the streets, and immigrants, asylum seekers, refugees, Muslims, just because of the climate of fear that's being whipped up by, I'll name them: GB News, Talk TV, Reform UK, Rupert Lowe, all these people. They'll deny that they want violence to occur, but they're whipping up the hate. And then nutters are watching this, they're reading this. And I can see a direct link between it. And that's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my prediction. And, the far right, they're dangerous. And we can see that they, unfortunately, using converts. Obviously, as Muslims, we want converts. We're kind of, not naive. Sometimes we're a bit too naive in terms of, because they're using converts to fool us at times. So we have to make sure that these converts are proper converts. And unfortunately, I don't want to cast suspicion on people like that. You yourself are a white convert, but they're using these kind of tactics to infiltrate our community, gain our trust. And then, obviously this guy was planning a Christchurch type mass shooting attack. And I fear that this is not going to be the only one that we hear about. I just pray that, it doesn't succeed.
Yeah, I know. For a long time, and this is not the only attack, by the way. There's been many attacks. This year alone, there was a mosque in Sheffield targeted by a guy releasing rats onto the premises on more than one occasion. There was a mosque in the north of Ireland, Belfast Mosque, I think it was, who had a pipe bomb chucked in through a window. Again, that attack failed, but I think there was a good couple of dozen Muslims at least in the facility at the time of the attack. So that could have been very deadly. And there's all sorts of attacks. We know the Didsbury Mosque has been arson attacked in the past. Mosques are being attacked left, right and centre. They are probably the number one target. And you've got this mosque in the Lake District, which I've been to a couple of times, where you have far-right agitators inciting outside the premises and death threats being issued online. And it doesn't appear as if there's a massive sort of what's the word, like an effort being made ahead of time to make sure that an attack doesn't happen. They just the authorities are waiting, hoping it doesn't happen. They'll act if it does happen, but by then, maybe it's too late. And so I'm just worried that something's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
And something you said before the show, which I thought was a good point, maybe you can elaborate on it, and it's that basically we haven't seen much. I was abroad, but I didn't actually see much fuss being made of this story. It wasn't like front page headlines or topping the news bulletins. But if it was the other way round, and a Muslim had attempted to shoot up a synagogue or a church, it literally would have been amplified, a million times. And I think that, a lot of the, this guy, fortunately, he had the intent, and I think he might have had the weapons. I'm not sure, or definitely the intent, but he didn't actually kill anybody. But that is the number of Muslims in jail now for terrorism are also, they didn't kill anybody. They didn't actually do any. They didn't actually go and they didn't even have any weapons. Most of them, they just had the ideology. Maybe they've read Awlaki, or they've read, they were fans of Bin Laden or something like that. It was just kind of things in their head. But they weren't literally, they didn't have the plots or the bombs or the weapons or they might have had the intent. I don't know. But this is the same thing with this guy, and we hardly hear about it. If it's not for Muslims Uncensored or Blood Brothers, you know, would anybody have heard about this?
Yeah, I think if Muslims are the good guys in a story, or if Muslims are the victims, they don't want to cover those stories so much.
No.
You know, it passes on the BBC at a glance and moves on. But if Muslims are the bad guys, then absolutely it gets rolling coverage. It's just like the Gaza thing. I mean, it's kind of forced on the media. They have to cover it because it's such a massive genocide that's so well published. They can't avoid it. But you always get the impression like they would like to avoid it if they could. They just kind of physically can't. And I mean, they've ignored the oppression of the Palestinians going back decades. This is a story which comes amid another disturbing trend that has started to happen online. Muslims going about their ordinary lives in Britain are being harassed and filmed by basically a bunch of ignorant bigots
and perverts,
racists, whilst they're like literally doing nothing. So women in parks are being filmed, families with children are being filmed as they go into hotels. And these are not asylum seekers or anything. They're just ordinary Muslims, brown people that appear to be Muslim, being filmed in the most peculiar, pervy and disturbing way. Here's one example which went viral. It's a group of niqab wearing women, including
and girls, I believe,
and girls, so 16-year-olds,
like children,
in a public park being filmed by people who start espousing Islamophobic stuff. I'll play it out now so you can see what happens.
Yeah. Sorry?
They're actually part of a school and they're under 16, a lot of them, so I'd really appreciate if we weren't recording.
Right, okay.
I understand it's...
You're in the UK, right? You're in the UK.
Yeah, I understand.
You don't have to wear any of this crap, love.
That's fine.
You're free.
That's my choice.
It's not your choice. You've been conditioned that way.
We appreciate your concern, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
We also don't appreciate the tannoy, is what we're actually filming. We're not filming the people, we're filming the fact that a tannoy is going on in a quiet public park.
So I think the most mature thing for you to do as adults would have been to approach us and tell us that we really don't want that here.
Do you think everybody else here was going to do that?
The people at the park don't have a problem. The management here has allowed us.
Listen, you're not going to change your ways, we're going to change ours. Neither of us are doing anything illegal, is what you're saying.
So that was just a taste of it. It's crazy, isn't it? They acknowledge they're in a public park, but they have an issue with them doing whatever they're doing because they're Muslim, basically. And then the lady filming starts going on about, oh, she's oppressed. You can take that off now, love. You don't have to wear that BS here. And she's like, it's my choice. And she goes, no, it's not. And I thought Muslim women who wear niqab are not allowed to talk, but these women clearly do have a voice, and they're saying, "Can you stop filming our kids, please?"
Yeah, they were making intelligent.
They're just finding excuses for it.
They were making intelligent arguments while the white couple were just spouting rubbish, really ignorant rubbish. They're brainwashed. I think honestly, a lot of white people, working class white people, have been brainwashed about what Islam is, who Muslims are, and it's scary how ignorant and stupid they are. Really deeply stupid people, but unfortunately could be dangerous people as well.
There's another example, a family being filmed walking into a hotel. They had children with them as well.
Just imagine if Muslims go around filming white people and white children, what would happen to us? So we blurred this out because there are kids there, but it's a Muslim woman in niqab and a Muslim man in like shalwar kameez, something like that, South Asian dress.
You mentioned about what it'd be like if we filmed white people. Well, a pair of Muslim women were sitting in a park, minding their own business, filming the park, enjoying life. They were accused of filming children, and they were falsely accused, and they were held with horrific abuse. And you can clearly see from this footage, I'll play it out now, Now,
So what's going on here? I didn't quite understand.
So these two women are in a park enjoying themselves. They have their phones. They're filming the park, and they get confronted by some angry white people and treated with suspicion like they're a bunch of perverts and criminals. And it's clear to see that it doesn't look as if anything foul is at play here. These are just a couple of women enjoying the park. Well, ironically, what happened was some local Muslims, I think, stepped in and actually forced the white people involved, the non-Muslims, to apologize for the incident.
Okay.
So I'll play out the follow-up clip, which came after the initial viral video went out.
Yeah.
We've all seen the video yesterday of the Muslim girls that were getting harassed in the park. The lady here, she was the one that recorded it. This geezer were there as well. He wasn't the main culprit in it, but the family have asked for a sincere apology. They're both happy to oblige with that. So you can give you an apology.
So these are the people that filmed.
I just want to apologise for seeing my cousin recording, and I should have stopped the recording, to be fair. And I know I'm wrong there for that now. And another situation, if that occurs, I'll step in. And I disagree with everything that's happened. I don't
clear up the smiling picture as well, just so they know.
Oh, and the screenshot of you when you were smiling, just let the people know.
Just a smiling photo. Funny.
There was one guy in the video that was very abusive and very aggressive. That wasn't him. He was there alongside his cousin sister who was recording the video. So that guy we'll deal with later on. You was obviously the one that recorded it and posted it online. The family asking for an apology from yourselves as well. So what do you have to say about that?
Really sorry for recording the video and the notion of filming anyone at all. I'm sorry for everything it's caused the families on, for all four of the women. I'm sorry for what it's caused the mums as well, and just everything about it really. It was all wrong. We shouldn't have done it. We should have looked into the situation, shouldn't have even jumped to conclusions.
So there was a little bit of justice there, but obviously it's, as you mentioned, an atmosphere of fear, hate being targeted on Muslims as if they're all criminals.
There was another one that I
this.
saw where this Christian influencer was at the beach, and he was filming Muslim women and children, I believe, as well, just bathing in the sea, in full, bikinis or whatever. I mean, these guys are perverts. They're literally absolute perverts. I think we're getting to the stage now, Robert, that Muslims need to protect themselves. We're obviously going to get attacked, and I think the men need to protect the women, be very wary of the women going out on their own, and we can't go on little jollies anymore thinking that we're not going to get confronted. There's there's a significant minority of white people who absolutely hate Muslims and want to deport Muslims, and probably a lot of them want to kill Muslims as well if they could get away with it, And I think we need to be up there with our self-defense classes, women as well as men. We need to take precautions. We need to know how to defend ourselves, not attack anybody, but defend ourselves, because this is getting a serious situation and no one's listening. No one's listening. They don't care. The mainstream media don't care what we have to say. Politicians don't care what we have to say. They all think we're exaggerating, okay? But we're not. We know what's going on here. So the only thing that we can do is we should not rely on the authorities to protect us. We need to be ready to protect ourselves in lawful ways, in non-violent ways, if possible. Okay, but if we're attacked, we're allowed to defend ourselves. And that's what needs to happen. There needs to be a systematic effort in our community to teach self-defense, and to teach awareness of what could happen to us when we're out in the streets.
Yeah, I think that's right. We need to start adopting this message. Our community leaders, religious leadership need to start pushing this out there and just alerting people to the danger. Because it's like I say, there are so many Muslims out there. When I try to speak to them about what's going on and the atmosphere and the politics and whatnot, they go, yes, I don't think it's that bad. I really don't think it's that bad.
They're living in cow cookie land.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's a sad reality. And, we do have, the one responsibility that we have as men in life, apart from religious duties, prayer and worship of Allah, is to protect your kids, protect your women, protect your family, right? Yeah. By any means necessary. Total self-defense, and just be ready to act. Because do you remember there was that kid who got smashed on the ground at an airport in Russia by a Belarusian or whatever? Total random incident. Could happen anywhere. I could walk out another day and someone attacks me or whatever, but they do target women and kids specifically. I think that's what's so insidious and scary about this, is they're filming kids, they're filming women, and it's like
they should be arrested.
They start off filming and then they're going to start off, they're already subject them to racist and bigotry abuse as well, hurling abuse at them verbally. When does it escalate to something more than that?
We need to know who's behind the cameras, you know?
Yeah.
They need to be exposed and arrested, the bloody perverts. They are absolute perverts. How dare they film women and children?
It's creepy,
you know?
yeah.
Absolutely creepy perverts.
You're right.
What are they going to do next? Are they going to sexually assault people? Are they going to physically attack people? I mean, these people need to be arrested.
Yeah, I know. You're absolutely right. It's scary. Well, we're warning about it here at Five Pillars. You know, we're not trying to scare people, you know, for no reason. We are worried. You know, we monitor the news. We catch all of these stories. We report on it. And it's just, there's too much. Like, I'm missing stories because I'm focusing on some mosque being attacked, some individual being racially discriminated against, and then I miss like 5 other examples of a similar story happening.
We need to get organized, you know, in a way that, you know, I mean, I've been to certain African countries, you know, in my life, and where the crime rate is quite high. And the Muslim community is organized there in terms of they don't rely on the authorities necessarily to protect them, because they know the authorities will either not take it seriously or they'll be there too late. So we need to get organized in a way where we can protect ourselves. And obviously we should do that completely within the law. But we have to find every single way possible, whether it's self-defense, whether it's just kind of, you know, basic safety advice to our women and children, not to go out alone certain times a day.
Just be really
we need to educate ourselves so that we're not picked off by these racists and Islamophobes.
Yeah, it's so sad, isn't it? Because Muslims, like, as someone who knows Muslims really well, like as an outsider of the Muslim community and now in it, it's just so upsetting to see, because it's hard to find a community as generally nice, kind, hospitable, charitable as Muslims. It's one of the things that attracted me into Islam, was just how beautiful Muslims are most of the time. And they're just so dehumanized now that so many people in this country think that the average Muslim is a barbaric savage who is sort of like better off drowning in the English Channel, because they're so like evil.
Well, you're
backwards,
from that community, working class white community. I mean, am I exaggerating here? I mean, how do they think? Would they like to, a lot of them, would they like to deport or kill Muslims? Yeah.
I don't think they would care if it happened. Yeah. There's so many people. Obviously, there's loads of allies of Muslims.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, it's not a majority thing. But they're growing in so much power. You know, the far right is so powerful now.
Look at Gaza. All right, Muslims are literally, babies are getting killed there,
and they're
slaughtered on a daily basis. They're cheering it on. And they love it. They love watching Muslims die, basically.
Yeah.
And we have a significant minority of those people in this country. They're the ones that should be deported, Robert.
Yeah.
They're the ones that should be deported from this country, because they're a danger to their fellow citizens.
Yeah, I know. They're just trying to normalize that language as well. It's not quite there yet, but if they could normalize sort of genocidal language against Muslims at large into the mainstream, they'll do it. They're looking for that window to normalize it, and they're getting there, unfortunately. Well, let's move on to something else which is also quite pressing. There is the Palestine Action protests still ongoing, and I witnessed the largest scale protest flouting the law against the banning of Palestine Action, which took place outside Parliament in Parliament Square last Saturday. Over 500 activists were arrested. I think about 532, something like that, were arrested in the end, including very prominent Muslim activist and human rights advocate Moazzam Begg, who is a former Guantanamo Bay prisoner as well. He's decided to flout the law as well, and held up that well-known placard now, the anti-genocide placard, which states, "I'm against genocide, I support Palestine Action." And police, of course, were mobilized in huge numbers to arrest people. It went on for hours. They physically couldn't pull enough vans and police to arrest everyone there and then. It dragged on for hours. There was a lull in the arrests.
Didn't they bust in police from Wales or something?
They bust in police from Wales, absolutely. I have some footage here of the day. It was chaotic, totally chaotic. The police were losing control of the situation at various times. They were being heckled, jeered by onlookers. As you can see here, scenes deteriorated into minor scuffling as well. It was just a total mess and a humiliation. Absolutely. Whatever you think of the law or the situation in Britain, this was a mess of a situation. And most of the people arrested were, you know, they were like hipsters, or there were disabled people in wheelchairs being arrested. A lot of old age pensioners who are obviously taking this risk. They face 14 years in jail for flouting this law, but they're taking the risk because, as far as they're concerned, this law and the police enforcing it represents a massive attack on freedoms for British citizens to assemble, freedoms on British citizens to oppose genocide and that type of thing. And that's exactly the reason why Moazzam took the decision he did to flout the law. I can actually play out a clip of Moazzam which we filmed, where he basically explained why he took the action that he did.
Faced anti-terror legislation in this country many times. I've been persecuted by the state several times. It seems the persecution of Palestine Action is one step beyond, and to target people for trying to stop the genocide is completely unconscionable. And I am certain that Britain eventually will have to repeal the prescription of Palestine Action, and themselves will have to face, when looking in the looking glass, their role in the genocide. And I think the people here have already started that process.
You know, these people are basically, by doing what they're doing, they're now like terrorists, basically.
And they breached terrorism law.
A lot of journalists were asking people as they were being thrown into the pack of a police van, old age pensioners, people in wheelchairs. They were asking them, like, what do you make of the fact that you're basically considered a terrorist in Britain? And they said it's a joke. It's a total joke. It's a total joke. That's what they were saying. And obviously, you know, just to remind everyone, Palestine Action is the group that's prescribed. It is a terrorist organization. If you express any support for the group, you risk 14 years in prison under terror-related charges. And the police have said that they will continue to robustly enforce that law. And the Home Secretary as well, she also defended the law again recently by claiming that Palestine Action, she said, believe me on this, there's no evidence to support it. We're not going to publicize any evidence, but they are not a non-violent organization, and trust me on that. That's
well,
what I'm paraphrasing.
No one trusts politicians.
Well, that's the thing.
Politicians have to come up with proof.
Journalists are not supposed to, via their job description, trust the government. But the government said, no, just trust me on this. They're definitely
trust
not
me,
violent.
bro.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely a violent organization. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah, we don't trust governments which go on about WMDs in Iraq. Ever since that day happened.
Well, yeah.
No government should ever be trusted again, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Not that I trusted them then, but a lot of people did. Look, they've bitten off more than they can chew. Obviously, this is a bad law. We're free to say that. The offence is to support Palestine Action, but not to criticise its banning. And it's clear as day to any sane person, this is a bad law. They're not a terrorist organization, and they shouldn't be on the list with ISIS and Al Qaeda. These are organizations that have killed people, bombs, plots, political ideology, intent. Palestine Action is not that. Everyone can see it. And they've bitten off more than they can chew in the sense that they did not expect the law to be flouted like this again and again and again. And the tactic of the protesters is to bog the police down, to exhaust their resources. The police they were arresting people on the street and then letting them go. And not de-arresting them, but bailing them on the street. That doesn't normally happen, right? They normally take them to the police station and they bail them there. But they were bailing them on the street because there were so many of them. And I think 500 arrested in one day. I think that is perhaps the biggest number of arrests in one day since the poll tax, or something like that.
Well, it's definitely it's broken a record for people arrested under the terrorism law in one day. So it's setting precedents. And the key point here is that the authorities probably hoped, and their pro-Israel mates who had lobbied for this for probably a long time, hoped that by designating the group, it would finally go away.
Yeah.
So Palestine Action would be done with.
It would scare everybody.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do any of their actions. No one would be able to be a member. So all of the news attention surrounding the group and all of the upset that they caused would be gone. Well, clearly that's not happened. In fact, the group's more famous than ever before. There are loads of people getting arrested and causing problems for the authorities as they try to police this, and the criminal justice system clearly doesn't know what to do now, because is it going to throw these old grannies into jail? Is it going
deeply embarrassing, isn't it?
Is it going to process this at great cost to the taxpayer? The government probably can't be seen to back down, but then the activists are not going to back down either. Do you know what I mean? And it's getting worse. It's escalating. It's not going away. It's not going away after a couple of weeks. 500 people. What's next? 1,000? 2,000 people are going.
I think it'll continue. I don't think if it goes to trial, I think most juries won't convict either, and I think the authorities know that as well.
So it's going to be a mess.
This is something that is going to drag on, and I think, as Moazzam says, I think eventually they're going to have to repeal this law because it's plainly ridiculous. And it's unenforceable as well. I mean, the next step they could possibly do is to actually send someone to jail for 14 years. For some old granny to jail, or make example of someone like Moazzam or whatever, you know, that might be the next card up their sleeve. But
it's not a good look, is it?
It's a terrible look, and I think ultimately it will have to be repealed at some point because it's just a bad law.
Yeah, and it just makes Britain look so stupid, so stupid.
Idiots.
Even Britain's allies are attacking Britain on free speech now.
Yeah.
And Britain likes to laud itself on the world stage, like we're better than Russia. Russia jails its dissidents, and you know, Iran oppresses people, and China this and China that. We're better than these countries. Well, not really. If you look at this, it doesn't look great. You can't
arresting
blind disabled people to police vans.
They are arresting,
holding up a sign.
They're arresting left-wing hippies, sandal-wearing, tree-hugging hippies for terrorism, grannies, disabled people. It is an absolute disgrace and, quite frankly, a joke.
Yeah, I bet Putin and all the rest of them are laughing, going, yeah, I told you, Britain's terrible. There you go. Well done, Home Secretary. You're doing us proud.
You're a muppet. You're a muppet. What's her name? Yvette Cooper.
Yvette Cooper,
She's married to someone called Ed Balls. She made a balls up of this one, didn't she?
Yeah, she
You
did.
absolute muppet. Send me to jail for that, you muppet.
Well, there a lot of people, of course, at that protest, and just in the pro-Palestine movement at large, I think, don't necessarily want it to be all about them. The reason that people are taking extraordinary action at this time is because there is great suffering and a genocide going on in Gaza. And this headline obviously reminds us of that and the fact that it's still ongoing. So a number of journalists were murdered in cold blood by Israel in airstrikes on tents outside the Al-Shifa hospital, I think it was. And that includes Al Jazeera journalists as well. So this obviously is referring to Anas al-Sharif, who was murdered recently, and Israel actually confessed that they did authorize the strike, but they've now, again, as they always do with even Palestinian babies, they basically accuse them of being terrorists and they somehow deserve to get murdered. So Israel is totally justifying and legitimizing killing of journalists. It's justifying its attacks on civilian targets where a lot of women and children are getting killed. It's justifying the total conquest of Gaza, a proper Palestinian territory. It's justifying it all. And it's totally rubbishing any idea that this is a genocide or that they target civilians on purpose. Apparently that's a blood libel and you're anti-Semitic for saying that, even though it's a fact. You know, it's literally happening on our screen. It's the most well-documented genocide in all of human history. So yeah, that's the news. Journalists are getting targeted as well as everyone else in Gaza.
Yeah, so Anas Sharif is a hero. I mean, he's someone that I follow quite closely. He's perhaps the most famous journalist in Gaza at the moment, and obviously he was killed and assassinated.
And he knew
He's
it
been
as well.
warning for months that Israel have been accusing him of being a Hamas member. I mean, there's no evidence of that, and we don't believe what Israelis are saying. I think he did maybe do some work experience at a government media station before the conflict started, but Hamas is the local authority. It's like working for the NHS here or working for, I don't know, the government press office, you know. Hamas were the authority, but there's no evidence that he was a cell member. I mean, you know, he's so busy doing the journalism. Does he get the time to like plot an attack or something like that? It's absolutely crazy. We know the Israelis are liars, and you know, may Allah give him for his sterling work and brave work in Gaza over the last 2 years. May Allah give him the high stations in Jannah, and may Allah punish severely his attackers, and may he burn them, those satanic demons, in the lowest pits of hell. That's how I feel about this. I also think the Western media is complicit. I think the Western media, they've been systematically banned from Gaza for 2 years. Any media whatsoever. And that is because Israel doesn't want anyone reporting what's going on there, because it is a genocide. Like, everyone knows it is a genocide.
Yeah.
And I think now is the time for the Western media, the complicit Western media to say to Israel to grow a spine, to grow some balls, and say to them clearly, if you will not allow us in at our own risk to report on what's going in Gaza, then we will not platform you. We will not platform any Israeli spokesperson or the Israeli government, or any Israeli whatsoever. If that's how you want to play it, that's how we're going to play it. We're not going to report from Israel. We're not going to give your point of view whatsoever. Why don't they grow a spine and do that? And they will not do that because they are complicit and involved in this genocide.
Yeah, I know. I mean, imagine that principled journalism. Wow. But yeah, like the BBC and all of these other mainstream media platforms, I mean, they have ties to the Western state anyway. They're state mouthpieces anyway. So they wouldn't even be able to, even if their journalists wanted to do something bold and brave like that, to take a stand against Israel. Their careers would just be over. They just pull the switch and replace them with some other ragdoll poster person, you know, to slap a bit of makeup on some secretary in the background and put her in front of the camera instead. You know, the BBC and these other platforms, they are not crusaders for honest journalism. They are propagandist mouthpieces for the Western political agenda, and they defend the West on foreign policy all the time. They, I think there's a famous video of a BBC journalist praising Tony Blair's war on Iraq and saying what a hero he is. You know, and I mean, it's like,
but does that give
us? I thought he was a journalist, not a propagandist.
We know very well that many Western journalists support what's going on in Gaza. Does that give us the right to kill them? It doesn't, does it? You know, we'll criticize them and we'll call them out for what they are, but Israel is acting as judge, jury, and executioner, and they're getting away with it, and they're getting away with this genocide. The moral standing of the West. I mean, I never thought it was very high anyway, or even exists, but it's completely gone with Gaza.
There is pressure building. It's not non-existent. There is pressure. There is an effort now by Western powers to threaten Israel by recognizing the Palestinian state. But this, of course, is not the great sort of saving decision.
It's nothing.
It's kind of peanuts, and we've mentioned that in our reporting. Maybe you want to explain why, Roshan.
It's just a fig leaf. I mean, first of all, a Palestinian state is actually impossible. It's been destroyed by Israeli settlements, eating up the land. So a Palestinian state now is less than 20% of historic Palestine. Israel controls the economy, the airspace, the sea space. No army, completely demilitarized. It's not a state. So even to call a Palestinian state a state is actually a misnomer. This is just peanuts. This is just complicit genocidal states. Seeing that actually Israel is, you know, the dead babies on people's phones every single day. They're actually undermining the West here now, you know, and they would like Israel, if not to completely stop, but just to scale it back a bit. So it's just the pretense that they're doing something that they, you know, but it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's even people that talk about a two-state solution. It's nothing, because a two-state solution is impossible. And we need to, as Muslims, we need to dissect their game and understand what their real intention is. And we can use that by using our intelligence and our logic. And quite frankly, Muslims that still are impressed by non-Muslims and non-Muslim countries talking about a Palestinian state or a two-state solution, frankly, you need to educate yourself, brothers and sisters, because this is just a fig leaf. It doesn't mean anything. It's them trying to hoodwink us. And we need to be on top of this.
Yeah, it's a good point. And because obviously the Palestinian Authority, they're being rumored that they might take over in Gaza and that they're the ones who need to be recognized. But it's like, who trusts them? Like Israel works.
That's like Israel taking over Gaza.
Yeah, it's like that, you know, and they're just, you know, I think if the Palestinians were allowed to choose in an ideal scenario their future, the Palestinian Authority would have they wouldn't be anywhere near it. You know, the Palestinians wouldn't have anything to do with them probably.
They're collaborators. They're Israeli collaborators
and appeasers. They are not the heroes that were going to rescue Palestine. They're the ones who are selling it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
mean?
mean?
The Quislings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They've sold their soul to the devil, you know? So obviously, you know, be cautious about this. Don't celebrate because there's nothing to celebrate. And I haven't seen any Palestinians celebrating or this initiative at all, to be honest. It's just a bunch of two-state solutions.
Some like kind of compromise Palestinians might do.
I haven't seen any. No one's impressed with it. Well, there's one more story I wanted to talk about. This is a recent soundbite by a Reform UK MP, Sarah Potchin. Now, you'll remember her, Roshan. She's the MP who called for a burqa ban in Britain in Parliament. She was laughed out of Westminster, but obviously she's still going on about Islam. She's built a little obsession, I think, following in the footsteps of GB News. Yeah, exactly. So she went on Talk TV and has basically said that Muslims have a backwards view of women and they don't value them at all, and that Islam doesn't value women.
To stop being in denial about the effect of this culture coming into this country, and it is the culture of Islam, who have absolutely no regard for the value of women. So these men coming in on these boats, 800 to 1,000 a week, 26,000 this year alone, have a totally different view, a medieval view. And I've said that.
And what do the lefties, what do the women's libs lot, you know, whatever, you know, and he said the wrong thing. What do they say when you say that? You're a racist,
do you know
are
what?
you?
They don't, well, they call me a racist, but they're far more interested in standing outside Parliament this weekend and demonstrating about in support of Palestine Action Group or whatever. I'm not being funny, but no matter that there's a war, clearly there's a war going on in the Middle East. Why aren't these people demonstrating about the betrayal of our women and girls' safety in this country? They are more interested in standing over there in Parliament, waving their Palestinian flags about something that's going on thousands and thousands of miles away. I'm not saying that's not important. Of course it is. It's a global issue. But the fact is we have so many problems at home. You know, and this is an invasion on our culture.
So that was basically it. Yeah, Islam is medieval and doesn't value women. Nice one. This is someone who obviously, she's obviously never met a Muslim. She doesn't know anything about Islam.
Thick as 2 short planks.
Thick as 2 short planks. Ignorant, naive, just doesn't know what she's talking about. But she's constantly parroting these talking points now, these far-right talking points.
She undermines women by her thickness and her dumbness.
Yeah,
Plenty of intelligent women out there. She ain't one of them. And I don't know, man. We're just giving these ignorant people a massive platform. They go viral. That is 21st century Britain. Just a dumb place, basically.
She said
dumb people.
She said in another interview, again attacking the burqa, she was like, these women don't talk, you're not able to talk to them.
I would love to get her on a debate with a Muslim woman.
Absolutely.
They'd wipe the floor with her.
Yeah,
absolutely wipe the floor with that numbskull.
Absolutely. So that's the thing. Like Sarah Potchin, I think others like Rupert Lowe, they will claim one day that there's censorship on Islam. You're not allowed to talk about Islam in a bad way. And if you try to do that, you're silenced, as if that's a thing. It's not, because everyone these days is attacking Islam unchallenged. And they're even platformed. They have their own channels obsessively attacking Islam and unchallenged. So total freedom of speech to attack Islam. But what they're not doing is actually bothering to actually communicate with Muslims. So this idea that's popular...
Because they're not interested.
They're not interested, no. This idea that Muslims do not allow criticism of Islam, or that criticism of Islam is not allowed within Islam itself, is totally untrue. It's total fake news by right-wing grifters who don't want you to actually go and learn about Islam. They just want you to buy their crappy merchandise and their books defaming, attacking Islam. In reality, if you go up to a Muslim with your ideas against Islam and say, I think Islam is this, this, and this, it's oppressive, it's backwards, it's barbaric, prove me wrong.
We'll have a conversation.
Many Muslims will love to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we know them. We know the people like Hamza Tzortzis who actually want to have dialogue. Dili Hussein invited a bunch of far-right lunatics onto his podcast to create criticism by some. But he had those conversations. And do you know what? He actually was able to beat them back, as we are, because we are confident in our belief system. So this idea that Islam is scared or intolerant of rival opinions or criticism is factually untrue. But as you say, these grifters are...
What I don't get is, what does she mean about valuing women anyway? I mean, you know, does the West value women? I mean, you've got an opinion on this, I know, but I mean, what is, does the West... I mean, every socioeconomic indicator would prove that women are paid less than men in this country. Yeah. You know, first of all, we get them into the workforce, they can't take care of their kids. You know, pornography, women are a sexual commodity in this country. They're sexualized completely from birth to death. They're sexualized.
They're good naked and pictured. They're good as OnlyFans models, but yeah, they don't want to pay them.
So how do we respect? How exactly do we respect women in this country? I don't understand.
They don't.
We systematically disrespect women in this country.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis by sexually commodifying them.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, taking them and also alienating them from their true nature, which is one of motherhood and nurturing children.
Yeah.
You know, we're denying them what is natural to them. And I can say the same for men as well. You know, I think men are becoming like women in this country. Women are becoming like men. It's unnatural, okay? And it leads to problems in society, and we're seeing them every single day.
And just look at the crimes that exist, the prominent crimes like women face sexual harassment every single day when they're going on public transport or out in the streets or even in the workplace. You don't find that in many Muslim
beaten
countries.
Up by their men, like, you know, every like, you ask white women if they're respected by white men. That's why a lot of white women, they're looking to marry foreigners, because foreigners, whether they're Muslim or not, they treat them better.
Yeah,
you know, they treat them better. Like, white men are punching them up.
Yeah,
they're putting domestic violence through the roof in this country.
Absolutely. Now, so there's one thing, and just to be clear, Islam does not devalue women at all. In fact, all of the teachings surrounding women, like getting them to cover up, dress modestly, be housewives, and to rear children, these are because that's what women are amazing at. It's their unique gift that Allah has given them, and Allah is protecting them, and Muslims are protecting them through their teaching. So actually the Islamic view, although you may not agree with it, you might agree with the secular, sexualized, liberal interpretation of what women's rights are. The teachings of Islam does value the women in a different way, in its own way, in its own interpretation. But what I want to say is that part of the reason she was attacking Islam here in this discussion was about this idea of Muslim immigration. Muslim immigrants coming here is a terrible thing. That's the bread and butter issue for Reform UK. However, what I reported on just the other day was a fantastic story on 5 Pillars where actually a Muslim immigrant, believe it or not, who had settled in Ireland just 2 years earlier, was responsible for saving the life of an Irish woman who almost drowned in the River Lee near Cork. So this is Mohammed. He is a 44-year-old of Moroccan descent who has lived in Cork, emigrated there just 2 years earlier. Now, he's a typical Muslim immigrant who Reform UK would teach you should be scared of. You know, he's from one of these African countries where apparently they're all backwards savages and they all hate women. In reality, he's a fit and fighting, decent human being who risked his own life, could have drowned himself to save the life of an Irish woman who fell into the river, and he's been hailed as a hero. But again, didn't see Talk TV reporting on it, didn't see it on GB News, the channels that are obsessed with Muslims. They talk about any story related to the Muslim community, as long as it's negative, but these good feel-good stories, they totally ignore them. So a Muslim immigrant here saving a life. If he had been deported or wasn't allowed into Britain, the woman in the river could have died. This Irish woman. So actually, Sarah Pochin, educate yourself, you idiot, because if you had gotten your way with it, this Muslim man who you think is some kind of threat to Western women, he's actually a bloody hero, and he saved a Western woman from drowning in a river. So there you go. I think, honestly, if you want to have a conversation, Sarah, we'll actually welcome you on the show, on my show. Roshan won't be here.
Should have to wear a burqa.
You won't have to deal with him.
Should have to wear a burqa, though.
Yeah,
we'll have one specially prepared for you, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll have one. Well,
otherwise we're going to talk to you without burqa.
I think any woman who actually learns about Islam, the beauty of Islam, and experiences it, would embrace the burqa, to be honest with you. So there's a chance. But if Sarah Pochin wants to rid herself of ignorance and actually bother to educate herself,
it would improve.
It may happen.
It would improve her appearance as well, I think. You know, and the niqab.
Well, I can say that you are ugly on the inside, definitely, because you're an ignorant Islamophobe. But you can be a beautiful butterfly. If you just give it a chance. So you're a caterpillar, you could be a butterfly, but get rid of this bigoted, nasty worldview that you've been suckered into. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop talking about Islam and just educate yourself. That's my message to all the Islamophobes out there. Well, Roshan, I think we've reached the end of this show. I think it's been a good one. We hope to be back sometime in the future. I don't know
next year, sometime next year.
Yeah, you might catch us one day.
Inshallah, from September onwards, we'll start doing it consistently, brothers.
Inshallah. So yeah, please do like, share and subscribe. It helps the channel immensely, and big things are coming, so do like and support the channel as much as you can. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our new YouTube channel, 5 Pillars Plus, where a lot of my reporting will be on there, and it'll give you a break from some of the podcast heavy stuff.
Can I just, I mean, people might be a little bit confused. What we've done, brothers and sisters, with the YouTube, the reason why we started a new YouTube channel is because we want to differentiate the content, basically. So the one that you're watching on now, our main YouTube channel, is for a longer form content. It's for our podcasts. It's for perhaps films, documentaries, travel vlogs, longer travel vlogs. Whereas 5 Pillars Plus is just for news, really. For breaking news, for stuff, you know, shorter form content, etc., etc. We just wanted to, because of the algorithms, we just didn't want to have one channel where we dump everything in that one channel. Then the algorithm is confused about what is this channel. Viewers are confused. What is this channel? So we thought better to separate.
Yeah. So please support our channel, and we'll support you in turn. Thank you very much. God bless. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.